sana kembali.
Aku lebih tahu dari apa yang manusia ketahui.
At the beginning of the movie, we see an elderly man named Amrullah performing dawn prayers, appearing frail and unwell. Suddenly, a strong wind begins to blow, rousing a bedridden woman from sleep. She appears visibly frightened, attempting to clutch onto her bell, but the scene abruptly cuts here. Next, we see the man with his son Hamza, expressing his wish that after his death, he wants the land to be donated for Wakaf in their village. We then see the old woman's son Nada and his wife Shofi. She is frustrated due to her husband's unemployment and the responsibility of caring for his mother. Unhappy with their impoverished life, she wants him to claim his share of the inheritance. The following day, Nada visits Hamza, and with some hesitation, he asks to borrow some money, which Hamza gladly provides. That night, when Nada returns home, he hands the money to Shofi. However, she complains that the amount is insufficient for their daily expenses and only covers his mother's medication. Nada responds that she should appreciate what they have at the moment, but in reply, she argues that gratitude alone doesn't meet their needs. She suggests he should have requested his share of the inheritance from his brothers Hamza and Amran. Meanwhile, having dinner, Hamza and his father's friend Rama discuss family matters. Hamza expresses his concern for his brothers. Nada, who is married with children but unemployed, and Amran, who has a well-paying job but is unfortunate in love. Ramat reflects on this, saying that each person has their own destiny. The following day, Amran stops by Nada's house, only to be informed by Shofi that he is asleep. Amran then informs her that he plans to assist Hamza in managing their father's charitable land, and then he leaves there. Later on, Nada seeks Ramat, questioning what he might have done wrong. He mentions his devotion and prayers to God, emphasizing that he has never wronged others. Yet, his life remains unchanged, as if his prayers are pointless. Ramat urges him to sit and relax, then explains that while praying is a duty of humans, fortune is a result of effort and hard work. He points out that Nada's approach to prayer is misguided because he is praying with the expectation of receiving money. That night, Shofi suggests that if he feels hesitant to talk to his brothers, why not seek out a shaman, as a shaman might hold the solution to their problems. Nada, influenced by Shofi's suggestion, accompanies her to visit the shaman. He tells him that there has been unfairness regarding their inheritance share, and they have come seeking his help to claim the entire inheritance. The shaman comments that human beings, even if they possess a mountain of gold, will still desire more. He then asks them who is the person that he should get rid of, to which Nada says Amrullah, who is living with his 2 sons, a daughter-in-law, and a grandchild. Here it is revealed that Nada is not Amrullah's biological son, and shaman says he has to kill 4 people who are related by blood, so he will ask for help from Jin Anzar. They should give him the picture of those 4 and Amrullah's hair, and once they give him the things he asked for, he can get it done in 4 days. He hands Nada the spell and instructs him to plant it in front of Amrullah's house. Meanwhile, Hamza calls his wife and asks where she is, to which she tells him that he is at Nada's house because Nada and Shofi have gone out somewhere, and Shofi told her to look after their mother. On the other hand, Nada and Shofi plant the spell outside Amrullah's house. Suddenly, during this time, Amrullah's mother sits up in her bed, and Amrullah himself senses something amiss and abruptly awakens from sleep. Later, as Hamza's wife is returning home, she hears a terrifying voice. Frightened, she arrives home. However, she hears the unsettling voice again and catches sight of a jinn. Just then, Amran opens the door, and she quickly rushes into the safety of the house. The following day, Shofi is joyous and feeds food to Nada's mother. However, she gets terrified when she discovers blood in the bowl instead of food. Yet, in the next moment, the blood miraculously transforms back into porridge. Shofi hurriedly rushes out with her daughter Delia and recounts the incident to Nada. But just then, Nada's mother begins ringing the bell, and when he rushes inside, Nada finds her trembling uncontrollably. That night, Nada returns to the shaman with the requested items. The shaman inscribes a spell behind Amrullah's family photo and reveals to Nada that for 4 consecutive nights, starting from tonight, members of Amrula's family will be the victims until none remain. He also gives him a pot to bury in the land that Amrula wants to Recapss. The following morning, when Hamza arrives for dawn prayers, he grows concerned upon noticing that his father is not there yet. Meanwhile, the shaman proceeds with the black magic ritual, and as Hamza begins reciting his prayers, he is startled to hear a demonic voice echoing his words in repetition. The shaman persists with the black magic ritual, utilizing the shin bone of a deceased person and wrapping Amrula's photo around it. As he begins chanting incantations, Shaman's house starts trembling violently. However, the disturbance abruptly ceases as soon as the shin bone is broken. They then hear the jinn uttering something in another language before leaving the place. Meanwhile, Hamza continues to hear the demonic voice repeating his words. In alarm, he swiftly concludes his prayers and comes out, and to his horror, he sees a bear trembling and hurtling toward him, intent on causing him harm. On the other hand, as Amrula is engaged in prayer at his home, a dead crow suddenly falls before him. Startled, he witnesses the appearance of the jinn, which fills him with terror. Attempting to flee, Amrula is pursued and ultimately attacked by the jinn, resulting in his demise. Later, when Hamza's wife awakens, she is horrified to discover Amrula's lifeless body in his room. Hearing her screams, Hamza and Amran rush to their father's room, and witnessing his condition, the atmosphere in the house transforms into mourning. On the other hand, Shofi is happy about Amrula's death, but Nada harbors doubts, wondering if his father's death is merely a coincidence. Later, as Hamza sits down to eat, he is startled to find that his food has transformed into maggots. Horrified, he spits out the food and wonders what is happening. Suddenly, he is startled by the voice of his father's painful cries from his room, calling his name. Perplexed, he goes to his room and finds him inside. And as he approaches him, he gets horrified when Amrullah turns his head. But the next moments, he sees no one there. Terrified, Hamza rushes out of the room. However, the door locks before him. Hamza then sees his father in front of him, but he realizes that the figure before him is not his father, but an evil spirit in disguise. In response, Jinn begins laughing and says humans are more evil than demons, and that they are not afraid to hurt their own family. Hamza recites prayers and the door opens, and then he discovers that the jinn has vanished without a trace. Later that night, Nada is startled to find that the water in his glass has transformed into blood. Terrified, he rushes to the sink to wash his mouth, and we see that the liquid is actually water, not blood. The next morning, while Hamza's wife is busy washing clothes, the jinn possesses Hamza. He comes out of his room, and his wife is horrified to see him pouring boiling water on himself. Hamza suffers severe burns from the scalding water and dies in agony in front of his wife. Later, after Hamza's funeral, Amran expresses his belief that the events surrounding their family are far from ordinary. He suggests seeking guidance from their spiritual teacher Abuya, believing that they can get the answer for all that happened to their family. That night, Amran, Hamza's wife, and her son Farhan meet with Abuya. After leaving Farhan in Abuya's care, they begin their journey back home, but their car meets with a fatal accident, resulting in their death. 15 years later, Farhan returns to the village and is dismayed to find his grandfather's mosque land lying in ruins. Ramat arrives at the scene, and Farhan introduces himself, expressing his desire to take care of the mosque left by his father. Ramat warns him against it, cautioning that it may lead to another victim. However, Farhan remains steadfast, believing that God will protect them both. Ramat reminisces about the moment when Amrullah entrusted him with the responsibility of caring for the Waqf land, and then with tears in his eyes, he leaves there. Later, Delia visits the mosque and informs Farhan that it has been abandoned for quite some time. Ever since his parents and uncle passed away, the residents have lived in fear, with unexplained phenomena occurring frequently within the mosque's premises. She mentions instances of people committing suicide there, with their mouths filled with worms. Concerned, she questions Farhan about his decision to take over the mosque, to which he expresses his faith that God will guide him, and asserts his determination to fulfill his grandfather's dream. That night, as Farhan offers prayers in the mosque, the jinn attempts to frighten him by taking on the form of his grandfather. However, Farhan remains steadfast and continues reciting his prayers, and due to his unwavering faith and determination, the jinn disappears from there. After this, Farhan begins to recite the azan, and as soon as he does, the jinn resumes its efforts to frighten and disrupt him. Despite feeling scared, Farhan persists with the azan, and his recitation catches the attention of Shofi, who wakes up and informs Nada that someone is using the mosque to call for prayer. Nada immediately sets out to investigate, and his daughter Delia follows behind. Meanwhile, as they depart, Nada's mother is seen smiling mysteriously. Nada enters the mosque and asks Farhan who he is. Farhan introduces himself, and in a flashback, it is revealed that when Nada approached Hamza to request his share of the inheritance, Hamza denied him, stating that their father had dedicated the land to charity. Nada says that the land belongs to him now, but in response, Farhan produces the charity papers that Amran handed to Abuya before his death. Seeing it, Nada becomes furious and warns Farhan that he will end up dead like them too. That night, as Nada heads to meet the shaman again, a man intercepts him with a grave warning. He reveals that the only person who lived in the village died long ago, cautioning Nada to leave before something happens to him. Nada chooses to disregard it, but he is startled when the man suddenly disappears before his eyes. Nada arrives at the shaman's house, only to discover it in ruins. Undeterred, he locates the spell the shaman had used to summon the jinn and begins reciting it with the intent to kill Farhan. Suddenly, the surroundings start shaking violently, and before long, the jinn appears and possesses Nada. Meanwhile, as Farhan prays in the mosque, he is suddenly dragged away by the jinn, and the door of the mosque is flung open. Farhan manages to escape from the mosque, where he encounters a jinn in disguise of Delia lurking behind a tree. It turns towards him and starts disturbingly climbing the tree. The jinn then accuses Farhan of causing havoc in their lives and pushes him back. Undeterred, Farhan begins reciting prayers to ward off the evil presence. But to his horror, Farhan watches as the jinn descends from the tree. It then speaks in a foreign language, and then proceeds to move towards another tree and climbs it. The jinn then tells him that it knows more than any human could know, and then it disappears from there. Just then, Nada seizes Farhan by the throat and forcefully knocks him down, and as he moves forward to kill him, Ramat attempts to intervene and stop him. However, Nada restrains Ramat. It is now revealed that Ramat was also involved in killing Amrula's family for the commission on that land, but Nada had not fulfilled his promise, and he throws Ramat away. Just in time, Aboya arrives at the scene and immediately begins reciting prayers, causing the jinn within Nada to scream in agony as the prayers take effect. Seizing the opportunity, Abuya instructs Farhan to unearth a buried pot from the ground and destroy it. Farhan retrieves the pot from the ground, and together with Abuya, they commence reciting prayers. With determination, Farhan shatters the pot, causing Nada to collapse and die. Farhan rushes to Ramat's side and attempts to revive him, and in a startling confession, Ramat admits to being the one who informed Nada about the shaman. Furthermore, he reveals that he provided Nada with Amrula's family photo and his hair. Ramat then dies in Farhan's arms. Meanwhile, the jinn possesses Nada's mother, who proceeds to Shofi's room, and in a horrifying turn of events, she fatally stabs Shofi with scissors. Just then, the jinn in the form of Delia appears and delivers the final blow, ending her life. Thanks for facing the frights with us. If you survived this video, drop a like, summon that subscribe button, and brace yourself for more horror. Until next time, stay spooked.